everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trip 101's Travel Talk series. I'm Bianca, a content executive from Trip 101, and this is the series where we talk to local tour guides from all over the world to get more up to date and insider information about the regions that they offer tours in. So today, I'm talking to Mihi, a licensed tour guide with a decade of experience in Sri Lanka. So he offers tours all throughout the country, but in particular, Colombo. Well, which is where we're talking about today. So, hi, Mihi.
Hi, I'm Mihi. I was born and raised in the capital city of Colombo, Sri Lanka. I'm a licensed guide from the Tourist Board, which is the government body of Sri Lanka tourism industry. And I started tour guiding back in 2014. At that time, I was doing another job relates to the hospitality industry, but I was thinking to shift my career into the tour guiding. And it was a very successful journey throughout this 10 years time. I have been guiding the international and the local tourists all around the country to each and every historic places, more natural places around the country. But mainly, I'm focusing on the city tours like Colombo city, and especially I'm getting a lot of clients from cruise ships, like passenger ships coming to Colombo. So I have been busy with tour guiding in the city of Colombo. So that made me very much focus on the city tours. Colombo and my specialty has gone very high inside of the city attractions.
Okay, so thanks for introducing yourself, Mihi. And since you've been in Colombo for so long and offering many city tours, I'm sure our viewers will get a lot of very useful information today.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with how travelers can get into the city. Is there an airport nearby or within the city?
Yes, in Sri Lanka, we have two main international airports. One is situated in the suburbs of Colombo, which is called Bandaranaike International Airport, which is the oldest airport in the country. And there is another newly built airport, which is situated in the southern, deep down south part of Sri Lanka, which is called Mattala International Airport. Apart from all both these two, we have domestic airports, about 20 airports around the country, but only two international airports. So the most closest airport is the Bandaranaike International Airport, which is situated about 20 kilometers away from the Colombo city. It takes only 20 minutes maximum to get into the main city. So it's very easy access from the airport to Colombo.
I see. And what's the easiest way to get from the airport to the city center?
There are multiple ways that you can use to get into the Colombo city. Since we have the highway, there are many taxi companies operates across the country and even within the airport. There are local transport apps that you can download here when you get into the airport. The most popular one is PickMe. PickMe is a local transport app where you can just come into the airport and download that app, and you can easily get a taxi, and which is very reasonable as well. And the other way is Uber. We have Uber here operating as they do in the worldwide. All the rates are almost same with the local company and the international companies. And there are airport taxi services available. You can just go out and grab a taxi randomly, and it's very safe. You don't have to worry about that. But you need to negotiate the price with the people who are doing it, because they might have the little variations in the rates. So you need to negotiate. That's another way. You can take an airport taxi randomly. You can use Uber, Pick Me, and there are two other ways. There is a railway line going very close to the airport to Colombo, and you can just come outside and walk about 15 minutes time and get to the railway station and take a ticket and come to Colombo. But the thing is, the trains are not going there almost all throughout the time. So you might have to wait for a little longer. You need to check the schedule before coming. And there are buses going from airport to Colombo city. You can just take a city bus and go to the. You can come into Colombo city very easily. But for a first time visitor, I would recommend to use a taxi company or a tour guide service, or someone who could escort you to Colombo, because otherwise they might end up in somewhere else coming to Colombo. And there are a lot of ways. It's not a big deal to come to Colombo. It's pretty easy and quick.
Okay. So you mentioned public transportation options. Are there any travel passes or cards for the buses or the train?
They will implement the travel passes in the near future, but still we don't have the travel passing system. There are small travel passing mechanisms happening only among the government servants and for particular people only. So for most of the travelers, it's easy to use the public transport and take a ticket and come. That's the most easiest way.
Okay. So between the ride-sharing apps, so the Uber or the Pick Me and the airport taxis, there isn't a big difference in the rates, or is there a more affordable option between the two?
Uber and Pick Me has a very similar prices,
Mm-hmm.
like very similar, which are affordable. But this Uber and Picnic, both apps have some sort of price changes during the daytime and during the peak times. There are price differences, but mostly it's affordable even for locals and even for the travelers. That's the most easiest way. But taking an airport taxi, that can be go either way, like 50-50, because the people who are handling that, sometimes they will tell you a different price, because if they notice that you are happy to offer a bigger price, then they will tell you a strange price.
Yeah. So can you give us maybe the average price of a taxi just so our travelers know what to expect?
It will take about 4,000 Sri Lankan rupees. Once you, if it is a car, small hatchback car, it will be about 4,000 LKR only. And you can even take a tuk-tuk. I forgot to tell that. Tuk-tuk is one of the most convenient way to go around the city. So
Mhm.
if you are a tuk-tuk fan, what you can do is you just come to Colombo Airport and you log into the PickMe or Uber apps. Both apps have the facility to book a tuk-tuk as well. So using Uber, you can book a tuk-tuk here in Sri Lanka. So it's very convenient and the prices are quite similar.
Okay. So what about in the city itself? Once travelers reach Colombo, are these the same public transportation options?
Yes. There are many buses going from to all the directions. If you are not familiar about the tuk-tuk is very convenient and very affordable. Very affordable means it's really nothing for a traveler or even a local. It's so cheap. Like for say for 10-kilometer journey, you will have to pay only about 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees means about three US dollars. So it's very cheap for everybody. My suggestion is to take a tuk-tuk because it's open and they are not driving very fast, so you can see the city and attractions all around. Yes,
Okay.
public transport you can take the buses, but you need to make sure and get informed which routes that they are taking, because some buses are going in a different routes and you will be confused during the journey. You can take the trains, but we don't have the metro here yet. We don't have a metro. We have intercity train services starting from Colombo. If you are going outside of Colombo, then you can take a train and go. It's you don't have to book that in advance. You can just go to the railway station and take the ticket and go. But if you want to book a special compartment like AC or some sort of sleeping compartment, then you need to do it in advance before you are coming to Colombo.
Okay. And how far in advance would you say they should book those train tickets?
So many trains, like we have very limited trains available to go to the other intercities. So my suggestion is at least before 3 weeks it's
Mhm.
better to book your spot, because Sri Lanka is becoming very popular among the tourist people to come and take the train journey. So there is a big competition to receive seats
Mhm.
in advance. It's always better if you are planning to do a train journey around the country, 3 weeks 3 weeks prior to the arrival.
Okay, that's an excellent tip for our viewers so they can get
Yes.
around before their trip. Okay.
Yeah, especially if the travelers are planning to do a trip to the hill country, especially the areas like Kandy, Norelia, which is situated in the mountains.
Mhm.
There is a very scenic train journey you can take. It's considered one of the most scenic train journeys around the world, because it goes through the tea plantations, Ceylon tea plantations, and there are a lot of waterfalls, mountains, and everything is around beautiful nature. So there is a big demand for that train journey to receive tickets. If you are planning to do that, you definitely have to book it in advance at least 1 month before.
Mhm. Is Candy far from Colombo or within a day, maybe?
No, it's just 100 kilometers away from here. You can just go in the morning and come back in the evening time. That's another. It's very easy.
Okay. Yeah. So after our travelers go into Colombo from the airport, I'm sure they're going to be hungry and looking for
Yes.
some local delicacies to try. So could you tell
Yes.
us about the local food and maybe what you recommend tourists try once they get there?
Sri Lanka, being a island country and a very tropical place, our food culture is very rich and which has a very long history that goes back to 2500 years, and now people have been experimenting with a lot of foods around the city and even the outskirts as well. The main food that the Sri Lankans are consuming is rice and curries. When we are making curries, we use a lot of spices, especially things like cinnamon, cardamom, chili, pepper, and so many stuff like that. Mostly the Sri Lankan foods are made with coconut milk. If you come into Sri Lanka, the my first suggestion is to have a Sri Lankan rice and curries, because when you are eating rice and curry here, it's people use hand. Usually people eat by hand, and they when they eat, they mix it with different types of curries. One is with milk, one maybe Milky Made, and the other one would be like chili and a lot of spicy stuff. But you need to know that your limits. Like if you can't take that much curries, it's always better to stick with less spicy stuff. Because in Sri Lanka, people eat with so hot stuff, like very spicy things. So if you don't know about the food culture, it's always better to stick with the lower level, like lower hot food, because otherwise that can blow your mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a
And
really good tip.
yeah, the rice and curry is the first thing that comes to my mind. And next, we have different other foods as well. Uh, One of the popular food among the local crowd is string hoppers. It's
Mhm.
made out of flour and corn, and they eat with curries and some bowls, and you having curries in. And there is another popular food that you can try is hoppers.
Mhm.
Hoppers, which is not an endemic fruit for Sri Lanka, since Sri Lanka is situated very close to India, we have our food culture being influenced by the Indian culture as well. So hoppers hoppers have some sort of relationship to India, but it's very popular here in Sri Lanka. Hopper is also made out of flour, but what they do is they put an egg on top of the hopper. It's called in India they call it appam. In our Sri Lankan culture we call it appa. In English it's called hoppers. That's one of the things that you need to try if you are coming to Sri Lanka. That's really delicious, and you can eat with some sort of chili and chili paste, or even with the curries like chicken curry, something like that. And in the night time, there is a very popular food in in the country which is called kottu. Kottu is made out of rotis. They cut them into small pieces and put curries in it, and put vegetables like carrots and onions in it, and then they put some meat like chicken, beef, or pork inside, and then the process starts. They take two type of knives and chop it into pieces using rhythmic music.
Mhm.
It's something that you can watch when they make it. It's really entertaining thing that when they make it, and it has really good smell which make your food appetite high. But this food, which is called kottu,
Mhm.
is that's not the most
Yeah.
healthiest food, because once you eat it, it's very heavy in the night. But our people for parties and everything, they use it very popular around the international travelers as well. Kottu is one of the things that you need to try if you come to Sri Lanka, because it's very unique and one of the most endemic foods here in the country. Likewise, there are a lot of fruits you can try. Sri Lanka is a paradise for fruit because wherever you go, you can find very fresh fruit. So whatever the restaurant you are taking, you can eat very fresh, like just homemade, very fresh fish dishes like seafood in the sense all type of fish and things like calamari, cuttlefish, prawns, lobster, and everything is very convenient to buy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all sounds very delicious. And for
Yes.
fruit, especially. So I'm from the Philippines and we also have a lot of fruit, but in particular, we're known for mangoes. So does Sri Lanka have any specialty fruit like that?
Sri Lanka is popular for different types of bananas. Usually in the European countries, even around the Asian countries, they are using the Cavendish type, the long banana. But here in Sri Lanka, we have like 20, 30 species of bananas starting from different colors as well. We even have red bananas and small type of delicious bananas. Those bananas have different taste as well. So the banana is one of the main fruit that you can find in Sri Lanka. Going beyond that, you can find different types of mangoes. So mango farms are there. So
Mhm.
it's very easy to find mangoes. And papaya is very popular here in Sri Lanka. And the watermelon. Watermelon is a mass scale uh, fruit industry, which is growing all across the country, especially in the dry zones. People are growing it in a huge mass scale. And watermelon, wherever you go, you can find watermelon. And the other one, something I forgot to mention, when you are in Sri Lanka, you need to try king coconut. King
Mm.
coconut is a very unique thing in this country because usually when you are going to other Asian countries, you will find coconuts, but I'm not sure about the king coconut because king coconut are not growing everywhere around the world. So Sri Lanka is one of the hotspots that you can find a king coconut. The water is very delicious. If you have something like gastritis, that's one of the highly recommended medicine that you can take in the morning, and it's really delicious. Calm your body down, like cool it, and then you can eat the cream inside. That's one of the main food the Sri Lankans are trying each and every day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, everything that you mentioned sounds really delicious. Do you have any recommendations for popular restaurants or maybe food markets where tourists can try all of these dishes?
Here in Colombo, starting from the very basic levels, you can we can talk about like there are street food,
Mhm.
but for the first time travelers, I'm a little bit nervous to recommend that one because that might not be your type.
Mhm.
But if you are staying here for a longer time, then that's one of the things that you can experience. There are plenty of street foods that you can find in Colombo. There are food festivals happening each and every night for street food. Different types of street food you can find, like see the rotis, hoppers, rice and curry, and whatever the food that you want to try, it's there. It's very cheap and very convenient. And if you need to try things like so popular for seafood, when you come to Colombo, there is a one restaurant called Ministry of Crab. Ministry
Mhm.
of Crab, which is so popular. It's ranked the number one in Colombo for seafood. It's
Mhm.
so popular and situated in the right center, but the prices are a little bit higher because of the standard and the location and everything. It's very much luxurious restaurant, and Ministry of Crab is sitting number one in Colombo for seafood and all the other as well, but it's very special for seafood. And then you have restaurants like Barnsbury. Barnsbury is a very popular European type of a restaurant situated in the heart of Colombo. And there are food courts.
Mhm.
There are many food courts inside of the shopping malls in Colombo City. All these shopping malls are situating very close to each other. The one main place is Colombo Gold Face. There's a place called Gold Face Shopping Mall. which is situated by the side of the Indian Ocean, close to the Colombo city, and underneath the ground floor has a huge food court. There are different types of Thailand food, even the European food, and whatever the food that you are looking for, they have it here in a very huge scale throughout the day. It's a 24-hour service, so you can go and grab whatever the food that you are looking for. The prices are very much reasonable, and there is another place called Crescat. Crescat is another restaurant. Crescat is another food court underneath of another shopping mall. There is a shopping mall on top, and there is underneath food court as well. And there is another one called Colombo City Center. Colombo City Center also has a food court, which is very much easily accessible from the main city area, metropolitan area. And there are plenty of other restaurants. If you need to try local foods like kottu, I'm suggesting you to go to the little outside of the metropolitan area. Colombo has been divided into 15 parts back in the 70s when they creating the margins of the main city. Colombo 1 to 8 is the residential, to 15 is mainly for the manufacture and industrial works. So most of the restaurants are situated around this Colombo 1 to 7. Colombo 7 and 6 and 5 is kind of the highly living area. Most of the very rich people, and especially the administrative stuff and everything is situated around that area. So that's where you can find plenty of luxurious restaurants, and you can't find the street food there, but of course, plenty of restaurants. If you go to Colombo 6 is very popular for Tamil foods. Tamil is one of the nationalities living in the country, and the Tamil food is also very delicious. Like they use a lot of curries, and they have a different food culture which you need to try. So if you go to Colombo 6, which is just a 10 minutes drive from the metropolitan area.
Okay, I see. So thank you for all those
Yes.
restaurant recommendations. I'm in particular interested in the Ministry of the Crab because I love seafood as well. So I think a lot of our travel,
Ministry of Crab is so popular.
yeah.
Yes, very
Uh,
popular. And there is another restaurant chain here in Sri Lanka called Pilavus. Pilavus is a that's not a luxurious restaurant. That's for local people, and it's very convenient place to eat kottu. Because since I mentioned kottu as a very popular food restaurant in Sri Lanka, Pilavus is one of the restaurant chains that you can find a good kottu to eat in the night time.
okay, yeah. So with all of the options that there are for restaurants in Sri Lanka or in Colombo, is it easy for travelers to find places that offer vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free meals?
Yes, it's actually not the most easiest thing,
Mm.
but there are few of the restaurant that offer. But yeah, the easiest way that you can use is you can use the online apps to get them delivered if you are a vegan. Because
Mhm.
here in Sri Lanka, as I mentioned earlier, there are Uber food, Uber delivery, and
Mhm.
and Pick Me also deliver the food. So
I
when you go into their apps, you can select whether you are a vegan, vegetarian, or non-vegetarian. So you need to search on the internet or the TripAdvisor. There are about 3 4 places that you can find vegan food, and there are few supermarkets in around Colombo 6 and 7. You can go and find those food as well.
Mm.
I would say it's not the easiest place to find vegan food, but that's available because since there are people exist here in Colombo, there are options. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So what about restaurants that are maybe pet friendly or kid friendly? Are those easy to come by as well?
Almost all the restaurants are kids friendly.
Mhm.
But if you're going to a Ministry of Crab caliber restaurants, they facilitate you and they will prepare different places for you to eat. There are great restaurants like the Cricket Club Cafe, which is situated very close to the metropolitan area. Cricket Club Cafe is a very popular place and one of my favorite places as well, because since Sri Lanka has a very dynamic history of cricket, playing cricket, that place has a lot of cricket items, cricket memories, cups and everything. Many cricketers used to come and dine there. So that's one of the places you can go with the pets. It's a pet friendly place. And mostly the Indian restaurants situated here in Colombo doesn't, so they are not pet friendly places because of the type of the food that you can consume. It's not the most hygienic to have pets inside. So if you search on the Google, there are you will get the pet friendly places like Cricket Club Cafe, Tilapia, Isso, Barnsbury, all these places you can bring your pets, but you need to inform them in advance.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good tip for our travelers coming with pets with them. So another thing that a lot of travelers want to know is whether there are any convenience stores in the city that they can go to in case they need any travel essentials or maybe snacks.
Oh, yes. Here in Colombo and all around the Sri Lankan cities have a chain of supermarkets
Mhm.
called Cargills.
Mhm.
It's called Cargills. Cargills is very popular supermarket chain. And in Colombo, there are about 50, 60 supermarkets of Cargills are available. And their logo color is red, and it's very popular among the locals and the international tourists. And there are three other different supermarket chains as well. One is called Keels. Keels is so popular and it has a very unique styles inside, and the architecture is very different, and they have the loyalty systems and everything. It's very much automatic systems that they are using. You can just grab your barcode scan and just go and do all the buying, and then you it's a self-service chains, Cargill's, Spa and Glowmark.
Mhm.
Glowmark is also another convenience store which is very popular among the locals. All these are supermarkets, but apart from the supermarket there are small grocery shops in situated in each and every corner of the city. So once you go out of the metropolitan area, you find so many grocery shops for snacks and everything. Especially when you think about the snacks, the most popular snacks are
Mhm.
cassava chips. That's very popular because since Sri Lanka is growing cassava all across the country, it's very convenient, and each and every shop has cassava and mixed bites and everything. So it's everywhere. You can find it in each and every grocery. But if you are planning to go to supermarket, then please go to Cargill's,
Mhm.
Kiehl's, Spa, or Gloma.
Okay. Yeah. So in these supermarkets, it's probably easy to find bottled water. So would you recommend that travelers buy bottled water, or is it safe to drink the tap water over there?
Uh, it's very clean, but I think for a traveler coming from different region of the world, it's always better to drink the bottled water.
Mhm.
But if you are going outside of Colombo and going into like more remote areas, those mineral you have the mineral water available in the streams and everything. Those are very fresh. So when I go outside of the main city, I will drink from a well or a stream or something that's very fresh and clean. And but here in Colombo, it's always better to use the bottled water.
Okay. Yeah. And just to round out our conversation on the restaurants, would you recommend that travelers book a table in advance if they want to go to a popular restaurant?
Yeah, especially for a higher level restaurants like Ministry of Crab and or Barnsbury or a Gallery Cafe, uh, stuff like that. It's always better to book a reservation in advance because they have different unique spots that suits your type. So you can discuss with them and make a reservation. But for all the other restaurants like the one I mentioned, Pilaus and higher level ones, and the restaurants situated inside of the five-star hotels, you need to make a reservation in advance.
Mhm. Okay. And when you make a reservation, do you usually just talk to the restaurant itself, or is there any app or website that travelers can use?
We have few initiatives coming up, but those are not functioning really fast. Like the apps are not really functioning quickly. It's always better to get their number from Google or from someone who knows, and talk to the reservation restaurant and make the booking from that way. That's it, very easy, and the staff who's working in those restaurants, they know about the process, so it's a very quick thing. Like you don't have to worry about reserving your place.
Okay. Well, thanks for all of that information about the food. So let's move on to other travel essentials or essential travel information that our tourists probably want to know. So, for example, in case a tourist feels sick or they have an emergency while they're in Colombo, are there any healthcare facilities that are available to them?
You don't have to pay for healthcare in the country,
Mm.
especially the government hospitals. In Colombo, there are 7 government hospitals situated. There are 3 main government hospitals. If you are a traveler, you can just go to those hospitals and meet a doctor at the OPD and then get a medicine and everything. The consultation free. There is nothing will be charged. It's free of charge. That's the basic thing that you can try, and the service is very high and the doctors are very highly skillful as well. The second thing is we have private hospitals as well. There are many private hospitals around Colombo. The most popular one is, there are 3 or 4 popular ones. One is Lanka Hospital. That's one of the place, and there are Asiri Hospital is so popular among the local and international travelers, and there are Nawalok Hospital, and there is Durdens. Durdens is also popular among the tourists. During the COVID-19 period, they were the pioneers to do the PCR test and everything. So all all these 4 main private hospitals are also there with you. Then you can go to the government hospital and get the free medicine and the consultation for free of charge. So all these options are available. But if you need to go and get a quick service, then go to the private hospitals like RCD, Navalok, Durdens or something.
Okay. And do these hospitals also offer services 24/7?
Yes, all these hospitals are 24/7 throughout the day they operates.
Mhm. Okay.
Whatever the time you go, you have someone take care of you.
What about for maybe more minor medical issues? If a traveler just needs painkillers or flu medicine, can they go to pharmacies without
Yes,
prescriptions?
yes. There are plenty of pharmacies situated around the main city and the outskirts as well. In Colombo, when you go outside of the metropolitan area, you can see there are a lot of pharmacies around.
Mm-hmm.
You can trust those medicines as well, because those are under the regulations of the Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka. They are being validated before they come into the selling process. So all these medicines are available, and if you need a something like painkiller, even you can go to the Google and find those pharmacies, and that's mentioned in the maps as well.
Okay. And these painkillers, you don't need a prescription from a doctor to
No,
buy.
no. For some certain medicines, you will need a prescription. But if you know the course and if you can explain to the pharmacist
Mm.
about the problem and issues, those pharmacists are also very highly educated and about they know about this process and everything. So if you can explain to them in a proper manner about what the problem that you have, they will definitely help.
Okay.
All these people are very hospitable and they will help for whatever the causes you have.
Okay. Yeah. That's great to know. So you mentioned that you can mostly Google these restaurants or these pharmacies. So on that note, is public Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi common to find around Sri Lanka?
We have free Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi zones, not everywhere, but especially the areas in the metropolitan areas like the railway station, Colombo railway station have free Wi-Fi zone, and museum area has the free Wi-Fi area,
Mm.
and especially all the shopping malls have free Wi-Fi. Other than that, in the public areas, you can find free Wi-Fi, but the internet charges are very low here in Sri Lanka. So what you can do is just buy a SIM card and get the internet. That's more easy than free
Okay.
Wi-Fi.
Where do you recommend that travelers get the local SIM cards? Can they get it at the airport or should they get it in
Yes.
the city center?
Yeah, at the airport, there are 3, 4 SIM cards from different service providers. The most popular, which is a multinational company, and they have a wide range of coverage around the country. So Dialog is very popular, and the other one is government-owned partnership. One is called Mobitel. They have a counter at the airport, and these two are very popular. And there are other Airtel and Indian companies are also there, but mainly people are going with Dialog and Mobitel. Those are the two companies have the mostly highly coverage, the bigger coverage around the country. When you come to Sri Lanka by flight, you can just come into the city and give your passport to a communication shop and get a SIM card. It's very easy process.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
these kinds of transactions, if you're buying a SIM card or if you're going to a convenience store, is it better to use cash or are credit cards also accepted?
Nowadays, for my travelers, I would recommend to use the credit card always because most of the small shops nowadays have the credit card facilities. But if you are staying here for a longer time, it's better you exchange money
Mhm.
and get the cash and use it in the public places because there will be some small shops doesn't have the credit card facilities, and you can even use the main international currencies like US dollars, euro, and yeah, and pounds as well.
Mhm.
But you can do transactions using them in the Colombo city. But if you go to a touristic place, much more of a touristic place outside of Colombo, especially places like Candy, L or Gold or something, then there you can do the transactions using the foreign currencies.
Mhm. Okay. So in case, a traveler is staying for a longer time and they want to exchange their money so they don't have to use foreign currencies, where's the best place for them to get a good exchange rate?
Here in Colombo, there are many places that you can exchange. There are authorized money exchange dealers here
Mm.
in Colombo. The most popular street for a money exchange is called Chatham Street. Chatham Street is it has some sort of legacy with the colonial period of the British. Because when the British acquired Sri Lankan country, they used to live around that area, and one of their leaders were named as Chatham, and after him the street named, and all the authorized government authorized money exchange dealers are situated around that particular area. So if you are coming to Colombo and needing to get proper rates, you can just go and check few stores, like not only go into one shop and ask, check with different shops and get the better rates. That's one of my suggestions. And the other place where you can exchange is Colombo 6. Colombo 6, there are about 7 or 8 money exchange centers called Royal Money Exchange Center, and there are Tamil names money exchange centers are there. All these money exchange centers have very similar rates. Those rates are being controlled by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So there is a very minimum chance that you get into frauds. So it's always easy. Yes, Chatham Street and Colombo 6.
Okay. So while we're talking about money, I'm also curious to know if tipping is a normal custom in Sri Lanka.
Tips.
Yeah, giving tips to maybe servers or guides.
Yes, tipping is a common practice, but there is no tipping policy. But definitely, tipping will make the people happy for their service. So I would recommend for the travelers to give them some tip. That will definitely do goods.
Okay. Is there any typical percentage for tipping?
About like 10% of the main bill would be
Mm.
a tip, but around like thousand Sri Lankan rupees is a normal tip. But
Okay.
according to the service that the travelers can decide about the amount that they want to give.
All right. So what about for the attractions? Maybe are there any attractions that travelers should book tickets to in advance just to ensure that they can visit it?
In Colombo, there is no place that you need to book in advance, but there are few places you need to take tickets, but you can do it on site. Once you get there, you can buy tickets. So one place is Gangaram Temple. Gangaram Temple is very popular Buddhist temple in the central part of the Colombo city, which is one of the largest Buddhist temple in Colombo as well, and it has a very beautiful architecture and very big history and a lot of museums inside. So that's one of the place, but you need to buy a ticket from the gate to enter that place. You don't have to book in advance. And there is another place called Lotus Tower, Colombo Lotus Tower, which is the highest tower in South Asian countries. You can, if you want to see the 360 view from the top, it's about 380 meters high. It's a sky piercing tower situated in the central part of Colombo. So you can also, you don't have to book in advance. You just go there, and the price is $20, 20 US dollars for the international travelers, and for the locals it's little less. And you can buy the ticket from the main gate, and then just go in. And there are few Tamil Hindu temples also available. You need to buy tickets. Those are very less amounts, not very high prices. When you go outside, there are few UNESCO heritage sites. The ticket prices are a little bit higher, but in Colombo, there is no places that you need to book in advance. You can just go and get the tickets and visit. Yes.
Okay. And for attractions, especially for any religious attractions or monuments, are there any dress codes that travelers should be aware of?
Yes, when you are entering a Buddhist temple premises, it's always better to cover the shoulders and the knee areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always better to wear the long pants or the skirts or blouses with covering your shoulders. It's not a rule, actually, it's a ritual. There is no rule like that, but it's just showing the respect towards the culture and the religious beliefs of the people living in the country. Because since Sri Lanka is very much high context country with a lot of stuff and things like that, it's always better to respect the culture and the people norms and everything rather than getting into troubles with the locals.
Yeah, that's a really good tip for travelers as well.
Yes.
So can you recommend any places, any attractions that you think that both tourists and foreign and locals would really enjoy seeing?
Yeah, usually when I conduct the Colombo city tours, I start close to the Colombo International Port.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I start my starting point, because that's one of the southern eastern end of the city. So starting from there, you can enter into the old colonial city of the main Colombo metropolitan area, because since Sri Lanka was a colony for three nationals, starting from Portuguese, then Dutch, and then the British, used to rule the country from Colombo. And they used to live in Colombo city, so their colonial architecture and buildings and everything is still exists in Colombo, and which is protected by the government of Sri Lanka as well. Nowadays, those colonial buildings have some sort of other establishments inside, but the main buildings are still protected, and they are maintaining it and properly doing the repairs and everything. So it's one of the beautiful attractions that you can start your journey. Once you go through those colonial buildings and everything, then you find the Hindu temples, because around Colombo there is a big amount of Hindu community, Tamil Hindu communities living. Hinduism came to Sri Lanka from India, and there are plenty of Hindu temples available. So usually, I am taking my clients to the Ganesh Kovil, catered for one of the higher gods called Ganesh of the Hinduism. And there is another Hindu temple called Sri Kailasanadar Swami Temple. It's a big Tamil name. But if you use the tour guides or someone, then that's one of the must visit places, because of the architecture, beautiful
Mm-hmm.
architecture and the colors that they have used to decorate the Hindu temple. So I would take my clients to the Lotus Tower, which is the highest South Asian countries. So that's one of the places I would take. If they are willing to go to the top, then they have to pay $20 and go to the top. Or otherwise, they can just take a free photo on the ground level. And then we move to through the colonial buildings and the modern buildings to the main Colombo Buddhist temple called the Gangarama Temple. Gangaram Temple is a big complex that will take about 1 hour to complete the whole premises. There is a small ticket that you have to buy, like 400 rupees, just the 400 rupees, just a little more than $1. And you can spend your time as much as possible there. It's a very calm and cool place. You can just go and relax your mind and learn about the Buddhism and talk to the Buddhist monks and everyone and discuss about the philosophies and a lot of things you can do there. Surrounding area is also pretty, and there are museums, colonial monuments, and everything is kept inside, protected. And there are few elephants also belongs to the temple. So once you get into the temple, you can go and meet the elephants.
Yeah.
Elephants are living inside of the temple most of the times, and you can even go to the places that they live and just feed them if the owner is happy. And this area, the temple area, is called Slave Island. Before, now it's Colombo 2, Colombo 3. The area is called Slave Island. The reason is when during the Dutch colonial period, Dutch people have requested from Sri Lankan people to work for them, but most of the Sri Lankan people were too proud and they didn't want to work for the colonial rulers. So what the Dutch did was they brought the slaves from African countries like Mozambique, Tanzania, and some countries like that, and they brought them and they kept them inside of a small island called Slave Island, which is situated in the Colombo 3. So because of that reason, the area was later mentioned as the Slave Island. So this is one of the attractions that the travelers can see. The island is still exists, and it's a park, but the legacy and the history is there. You can learn about that. So that's another stop that you can do. And then you get into the Colombo 7 area. Colombo 7 is kind of the elite part of the city. Like most of the higher position people are like rich people, and the land prices and everything is very high there. It's very organized and so pretty place to be. Right middle of the Colombo 7 area has the Independence Square of the country. Because since Sri Lanka was a colony, we got our independence from the British back in 1948, February 4th. To remember that very occasion, the Sri Lankan government has built a monument called Independence Square, which is a diplomatic safe place. Even for a criminal can go inside and wait inside. Nobody can come and catch him because that's absolute freedom is there. And the architecture, the carvings, granite carvings, and able to make that the monument is very pretty, and a lot of people enjoy staying there because that has a lovely breeze coming into that place. It's called Independence Square. So that's one of the main attraction. If you are visiting Colombo City, that's one of the places you need to go. Even when I was a university student, I always used to go to the Independence Square and sit in the evening after finishing a tired, stressful day, because that calms your mind and everything. The breeze and everything is so peaceful. The location is so good.
Okay, that's great to know.
Yes, all these places what I'm mentioning here, these are not only for tourists. These are it's not a tourist trap or whatever. All these are very common among the local people as well, and these are the real Colombo attractions that you want to try.
Are there any hidden spots that you would recommend, or hidden gems?
Yes, if you have a sort of time, like if you have some time to explore, then I would recommend you to go out of these main metropolitan areas. Go out of Colombo 15 and see the outskirts of Colombo, because Colombo might not be very green, but it's green. It's one of the greenest cities in the South Asian country. But when you go to the outskirts, there are plenty of nature. There are plenty of paddy fields.
Mm-hmm.
The paddy fields in the say, rice paddy fields around, and it's very green. And there are forest around, which is like 1 hour drive from Colombo, will take you into a forest where the waterfalls are available, wildlife is there. So that but you need to go just outside of the main Colombo city, take the high level road, then go to a city called Avissavela, which is situated
Mm-hmm.
on the outskirts of Colombo. But you are still in Colombo, still you will feel like you have come into a different world. So that nature is not far away from the Colombo. Those are many hidden gems like waterfalls. There is famous waterfall called Kumari Ella. Kumari Ella means what? Kumari Fall, Princess Waterfall. So that type of waterfalls are situated just 1 hour away from the main city. And if you want to experience the real market, like market experience,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go to the Colombo Pettah markets. Colombo Pettah is one of the hotspot for like buying and selling retail and everything. That's a very busy area, even for the vendors who are coming from all around the country to buy stuff for their groceries and for manufacture and stuff like that. Uh, you can just go inside. It's really crowded. It's like millions of people are doing their transaction inside. That's one of the places that I would recommend. That's one of the hidden gems. Not all the tourist people will go there. That's one of the place, Peta Market. And yeah, and Peta Market also consists of a lot of seafood and the street food restaurants inside. Those are for locals, but if you are okay with the local food and the local life, then it's one of the places. There are
Okay.
plenty of places coming to my mind. I will just summarizing.
Yeah, yeah, no
Yes.
worries. You're giving us a lot of really great recommendations. So I'm curious if you also have any recommendations for maybe families with children who want to enjoy attractions with their kids.
Yes. For a family with the kid, there is a
Mm-hmm.
very popular place called Goldface Green. Goldface Green is like it's a big land situated on in the Colombo one area, very close to the Shangri-La and the Goldface Mall. And it's a ground with a lot of street food and many activities are happening. Mostly the young kids, they come to fly kites in the evening time, and a lot of vendors comes and sell stuff to the people going there, and people come and have food and street food, sitting and talking to each other. In the evening, it's like a carnival picnic place.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the places I would definitely recommend for the families to go and have their time in the evening time. Basically, in the morning time also, if you need to do some jogging or exercises, running or something, then you can just go and do those activities around Goldface Street. That's one of the first place.
What about maybe activities or attractions for senior citizens? Is there anything in the area that would particularly appeal to them?
Yes, for the senior citizens, I would recommend the museums. There are plenty of museums around Colombo. The
Mm-hmm.
main one is the National Museum of Sri Lanka, which is situated in the Colombo 7 area, and that has a beautiful architecture. Mostly the senior people, they love to experience those, and if they want to experience the philosophy and things like that, they could go to the Buddhist temples and meet the monks, and monks are free of charge. They are giving you the lessons and everything. So those are two places that I would recommend for the senior citizen, and they can even go to local food shops. Senior
Mm-hmm.
citizens are being treated very with respect always here in Sri Lanka, since we have a background of Buddhist philosophies and everything. The people are generous, and they are willing to help and very hospitable for the outsiders.
Okay, I'm sure the seniors watching this would be very happy to hear that as well. So, just a
Yes.
couple last things about attractions. Are there any that you would recommend for maybe more adventurous travelers or travelers who are looking for a thrill?
In Colombo, we have skydiving. We have skydiving happening at the Lotus Tower, Colombo, but you need to book those things in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, apart from that, there are kayaking, kite surfing, but you need to go just outside of Colombo to experience those things. And there are specific places in the southern part of Sri Lanka is very popular for water sports, like jet ski and stuff like that. And there is another place called Kitulgala, which is very popular for water rafting, white water rafting, and for climbing mountains. Sri Lanka is one of the hotspot because we have about like so many mountains around the country for abseiling, ballooning, and surfing. For
Mm-hmm.
surf, Colombo is not popular for surfing, but Sri Lanka is so popular among the surfers. If you go to the southern part of Sri Lanka or the eastern coastal areas called Arugambe, it's very popular destination for
Mm-hmm.
surfing. And those are the things. But you have to just go outside of the Colombo city to do the adventure works.
Mhm, I see. So clearly, there's a lot of things to do in Colombo itself, but also maybe in the area surrounding.
Yeah.
So travelers will be able to do everything they need to do to fully experience Colombo. How long should they stay in the city?
Just a 1 day is enough because
Mhm.
Colombo is not a very big city in terms of the land size. It's very tiny city, but you have everything you need. You have the culture, you have the history, you have the food, and the very hospitable people, smiling always and willing to help all the time. And the convenient transport methods are also available. So I would say just a 1 day is enough. If they are willing to stay for like 2 days, then they can go to explore the hidden gems. If they are willing to do some hidden gems and explore the local life and everything, then I would say 2 days. But to cover all the important main attractions, just a 1 day is enough.
Okay, so once travelers have gone to all these attractions and right before they go home, what do you think they should buy as a souvenir or something to remember their trip by?
Yeah, Sri Lanka is very popular for few things.
Mhm.
The one of the main popular souvenirs the travelers would buy is gem and jewelry, because Sri Lankan gem and jewelry is one of the largest industries in the world. Sri Lanka is one of the largest manufacturer of gem and jewelry.
Mhm.
Still, we have mined only about 50% of the gem mines that we have. Like 50% is still available. So
Mhm.
this is one of the reasons why the colonial rulers came to Sri Lanka, because they knew Sri Lanka has a lot of gem and jewelry, especially the blue sapphires. Very
Mhm.
popular for blue sapphires. So some of the travelers come to Sri Lanka just to buy blue sapphires and go. So that's one of the very popular but very expensive. I would say expensive in the sense, if you compare to the international prices, these are very less prices. So to come
Mhm.
to Sri Lanka and buying a blue sapphire, that will not make you worthless. It's very worthy. And that's one of the things. Gem jewelry is one of the most popular souvenirs. And then the wood carvings. We have a very strong legacy of wood carvings, making things from handmade in the country. The city of Kandy is very popular for carvings. There are people used to live in that area as a bunch, and they used to do as their domestic industry and still doing it. And
Mhm.
there are many handmade wood carvings available in the shops around Colombo. Especially if you come to Sri Lanka, you will see Sri Lanka is one of the places you can see plenty of elephants.
Mhm.
There are about 7,000 elephants still living in Sri Lankan forest, and there are tusk elephants, and these beautiful animals are around. So people are making handmade elephants using the wood and everything. So that's one of the things that you will cherish in your memories when you go back. And there are tuk-tuks, type of small monuments that you can buy from the Colombo city places. Like there are few souvenir shops available around Colombo. I will mention few names. One is
Mhm.
Luck Arcade. Luck Arcade is one of the leading souvenir shops in Colombo and has a huge variety of locally made souvenirs, not imported from any other country. Those are locally made, handmade by the people from Colombo and the suburbs. Lak Arcade is one of the place, and there is Lak Sala, there is Sarusala, and there is Lak Madura, and whatever the place starting with Lak is it goes with the souvenir shops. So
I
most
see.
of the people in this tourism and travel industry knows these places. If you want to get the support from them, they will definitely help you out.
Mhm.
So these things are the mainly it's gem and jewelry. And oh, I forgot something. That's one of the most important thing. It's Ceylon tea. Ceylon tea. If you are coming to Colombo, then you need to buy Ceylon tea pack and take with you, because Ceylon tea is very popular brand around the world, and this is the place where they grow Ceylon tea. We have different brands like Lipton. Do you know about Lipton?
The tea brand, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Lipton is made in Sri Lanka. The mother company
Mm.
belongs to the Sri Lankan person. So those tea is grown in the middle of the country in the mountains, and they are auctioned in the Colombo city. So there are plenty of places that you can find Ceylon tea.
Mhm.
And it's very convenient. And one of my highest recommendation to my travelers to buy Ceylon tea when you're coming. And the other next thing is spices,
Mhm.
especially things like cinnamon. Sri Lanka is a home for cinnamon growing, and we have all kind of cinnamon brands, cinnamon powder, cinnamon oil, and everything. Different value added products are there. So to buy cinnamon, there is no other better place than Colombo. So
Mhm.
buy cinnamon and the other spices as well, with a very affordable prices. But you will never get those prices in anywhere outside of this
Mhm.
country, because
Okay.
when you go to a local market, all these spices and everything is freely available.
Okay, so for these local markets and maybe the souvenir shops that you mentioned, is it common to find locals bargaining or negotiating the prices?
Yes, for Luck Arcade, Luck Madura, and those bigger souvenir shops, you can't do bargaining much because those are coming from the local communities and as the corporate social responsible projects. So it's not good that you go and
Mhm.
bargain at those places, because that's what they're doing. The government doing
Mhm.
is they are supporting the local community as well through those souvenir shops. But of course, if you go to the other local markets like Pettah, Colombo Pettah market, you can definitely do bargaining. If you go and try to buy a bag like backpack or a shoe or something, you can always do bargaining. They will
Mhm.
start the price from 10,000 and you can bargain that down to 2,000 sometimes. So
Wow.
yeah, that type of bargaining culture is there, and even the vendors are also waiting until we bargain.
Mhm.
So everybody needs to bargain here in Pettah markets. That's a part of the culture as well.
Mhm. Do you have any tips for travelers who want to try bargaining there?
Yeah, always ask. Always once you start the conversation with the vendor will tell a price like 10,000. My suggestion, you start from a very lower price like 2,000 or something, and then the both will meet in somewhere
Mhm.
down the line. Yes,
Okay, that's a great tip. All
yes.
right. So in Colombo, is there any best time to visit because of the weather? Any high season?
We don't have seasons here in Sri Lanka since we are a
Mhm.
tropical country and an island situated in the line of the equator. We have either rainy season or the sunny season in the country. We have two monsoons. The first monsoon, largest monsoon is happening around May to September. This is our monsoon season. During this time around, Colombo is getting frequent rains throughout the last month, when the monsoon was started. During the month of May, we had plenty of rains,
Mhm.
and we even had flood. So I would say May to September is not the peak season, but since we are a tropical country, sometimes the rain might disappear in no time. Like
Mhm.
even if it is raining in the morning, it will be very sun out comes in the evening time. So there is no particular season, but always better to avoid the rainy monsoon season.
Mhm.
Rainy monsoon season is May to September, but during this time also, if you are lucky, then you will not get wet.
Okay. So are there any travel essentials that tourists should bring with them, maybe to stay protected from the weather?
Just an umbrella because we don't have snow here, or we we don't have any other hazards like volcanoes. No volcanoes, no
Mhm.
other bigger problem, no earthquakes. So there is very less chances of getting into the natural hazard. Just having an umbrella or a raincoat would do good, but most of the people when they come to Sri Lanka, they like to walk in the rain. So they don't want to prepare for that. Especially if they are using a tour guide or a travel company, mostly the travel and tour companies or the tour guides, they prepare all these essential need things for them. So it's a very minor concern, I would say.
Mhm. Okay. So in the city, maybe let's talk about the neighborhoods a little bit more. Where would you say is the best neighborhood or the best place to stay for families or couples?
All right. Colombo City has a wide range of accommodation types, starting from
Mhm.
five-star hotels. There are international hotel chains like Shangri-La, as I mentioned earlier. Shangri-La, Hilton, Cinnamon is a low five-star class luxury hotel chain, and there are four-star hotels, three-star hotels, and the small cottages available.
Mhm.
And especially if you are thinking about the city hotels, I would say just go to Cinnamon hotels. There are plenty of about 3 4 cinnamon brand hotels. It's called, the brand is Cinnamon.
Mhm.
And there is a hotel called Galadari. There is a hotel called Kingsbury, and there is a hotel called Radisson, Movenpick, and we have all these bigger names. Uh, Again, if you are thinking something outside of the box, you can search on the booking.com or Google and find the homestays as well here in Colombo. If you want to stay with a local family, there are homestay facilities, and there are motels, small hotels, like those kind of things are also there, and you can even rent apartment, or yeah, all these accommodation things are available, and even in our local websites you can find them. If you are connecting through a travel agency, then they will definitely help you out.
Okay. Are there any areas in the city or maybe districts that are particularly suited to families?
Mainly the Colombo 7,
Mhm.
Colombo 3, and Colombo 4, 5 are very much suitable for the families because of the safety, and mainly the residential area is surrounded on that particular
Mhm.
regions. Colombo 4, 5, 6, and 7 is very safe for the families to come and stay, and there are many hotels also situated in that particular region.
Okay. What about maybe the neighborhoods that offer the most affordable accommodations? Or do you have any recommendations for that?
If you're not planning to stay inside of the metropolitan area
Mhm.
of Colombo, you can just go outside to the Parliament area where the Sri Lankan Parliament is situated. Sri Lankan Parliament is situated about kilometers away from the metropolitan area, which is little remote and less buildings and with more nature and very green area. So that's one of the area that I'm recommending, and there are a chain of little apartments that you can go and book very easily.
Mhm.
Even I would say it's very easy to use the booking.com or the TripAdvisor or Expedia, or Airbnb. Stuff like that would be very easy to buy those things. Even, but other than that, if you are driving through the main street like High Level, Duplication Road, or the Gold Road, you can just look for the advertisements and the boards and everything. Though
Oh,
they have mentioned about the rooms, apartments, and
mhm.
everything, you can just go and do as free individual traveler method.
Okay. So what about maybe the neighborhoods or the districts that have the best nightlife spots? Are there any recommendations
Yeah.
there?
Colombo 5, Colombo 6, Colombo 7 is very popular for
Mhm.
nightlife, especially for the nightclubs. Uh, uh, I'm going to a place called Rhythm and Blues.
Mm-hmm.
R&B. R&B is a very popular nightclub. In the night time, they operate starting from like 9 p.m. till the next day morning. They have really good classic music, and since I'm a very kind of old school, I would go to that place. And there are all the other places as well. Places like Cleo, Petra is one of the very popular place. Clancy's is another pub and a nightclub. Clancy's, Marino, Marino Mall also have few of them, and almost all the five-star hotels have nightclubs. Colombo nightclub is epic. I would
Mm-hmm.
say it's great. It becomes a different world in the night time. And yeah, Clancy's Marina. And there are casinos as well. If people
Mm-hmm.
wants to go for casinos, there are plenty of casino places that you can find.
Okay. So just a final question to close out this interview. But are there any annual events or festivities that you recommend travelers experience while they're in Colombo?
Here in Sri Lanka, people celebrate a very unique festival on the month of April, which is our local New Year. It's called the Sinhala and Hindu New Year, which happens according to the lunar calendar, and it has some sort of beliefs, rituals, and a lot of customs with that. It's a whole 1 or 2 week festival, starting with different rituals by the locals.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly the Sinhala native people and the Tamil Hindu people are the ones who are celebrating. During that time, whole country becomes a festive type. Like they go back to their homelands and stay with the families and do a lot of New Year games and share
Mm-hmm.
a lot of food. Uh, and even they make very traditional food during that time only. So that's one of the days that you need to come to Sri Lanka, and that's some great time to sit. And that's one of the festivals that you can experience. The next day, you can experience the Vesak. Vesak is Poya Day, full moon day. That's since Sri Lanka is majority Buddhist country, most of our people are celebrating Vesak full moon day, which is considered as the day that happened the Lord Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and the death in the same day. So that's a very important day for the worldwide Buddhist community. So during this festival, there are beautiful lanterns lighted around the city, and there are um, decorations and many pretty things are happening. And a big festival happen in the temples. A lot of people go in the city and visit all these creatures and everything. So that happens during the month of May. So
Mm-hmm.
these 2 months, April and May, is the festive time of the Colombo.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of our travelers can, take the
Yeah.
time to plan their trips during that
Yes.
part of the year.
Yeah, one other thing. Here in Sri Lanka, we have another very important festival called Kandi Dalada Perahera. Since you might know, Kandi has one of the most sacred temple called Temple of Tooth Relic, which consists one of the tooth of Lord Buddha, and is considered as the most sacred, highly sacred place for the Buddhist devotees to come and worship. Once a year, just after the monsoon finishes, they take that tooth relic outside and they keep it on a back of a tusk elephant, and that tusk elephant with another 20 or 30 elephants decorated and very like they've been colored with a lot of colors,
Mm-hmm.
and with the drummers, dancers. It's a huge procession, goes all around the city. So this is one of the largest cultural festivals that happens in Colombo. Or not Colombo, it's Kandy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the what happening on the month of July and August.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come to Sri Lanka, that's one of the cultural festival I would recommend. And
Mhm.
but you need to make prior reservations to watch that place,
Mhm.
watch that occasion.
Yeah, it sounds like a very exciting and very beautiful event as
Yeah,
well.
that's one of the uh, events that you can see about 20, 30 elephants in one place. Those are tamed elephants. They are
Wow.
just going and dancing according to the drums and everything. That's a fascinating event, actually.
Yeah, it does sound very fascinating.
Yes.
Okay, well, those are all of our questions today. So thank you so much, Mihi, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise about Colombo with us. It's very clear that you know the city very well and that you have a lot of great recommendations for our travelers.
Yeah, I have been getting really good reviews throughout the last few
Mm.
years. When I started this profession, I was getting here and there, and I have been, it has been a journey which I learned from my mistakes and
Mm-hmm.
started knowing what the people are requesting, and I have been very much flexible and customizing according to the travelers' needs. So that has give trust and value for my tours. And throughout the last few years, I've been developing this business and getting into a elite panel of tour guides around Colombo. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is going good at the moment.
Yeah, I'm really glad to know that as well. Yeah. Okay.
Like
Bye,
this.
Mihi. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.